Hello and welcome to the Akira Furball Studio. Quick video, just quick run through the user interface, what everything's called, very quick description of bits and pieces, and then I'm going to bed because I've been up all night, couldn't sleep. So move the camera. I'm using Blender 4.3.2. Nothing in this video or the next one should in any way matter what version of Blender you're using, unless it's a really old one. Everything should be the same, so we're good to go. Let me just turn that to there. Right, so user interface. We have the standard application menus that you have in almost every application: file edit, render window, and help. You won't really use these very much. Loading, saving, importing, exporting, going into preferences, maybe opening the manual. That's pretty much about it. Next, we've got the workspaces. These are workspaces for different parts of the workflow. The ones that we'll mostly use will be modeling, UV editing, and shading. There are others, geometry nodes, that's more advanced. It'll be a while before we get into that. So these workspaces, you can delete them. They're always available to recreate if you delete them. You can just add a workspace and add it back in. You can make your own workspaces if you want your own workspace with a 3D viewport and something else, whatever you wish, you can create them. Very customizable, really nice feature. These over here, scene and view layer, you won't use those for Secondlife. Scene allows you to have multiple scenes in one file, so like multiple Blender files but in one file, and view layer lets you separate your scene into different layers that can have a transparent background and be composited in either in Blender or in external applications, photo editors or video editors, etc. Next down, we've got the 3D viewport. This big window is the 3D viewport. As you can see, it's got 3D in it. Put that back to object mode. This has its own menus. Many of the windows in Blender will have their own menus, and these menus are context sensitive, so these will change depending on what you're doing in this window. These menus will change. So we're currently in object mode. If I go to edit mode, you see I have different menus. If I go to sculpt mode, again, different menus. These gadgets in the middle here, these are to do with transforms and snapping and proportional editing. We'll get into those when we start making some mesh. These controls over here are controls for the actual 3D viewport. Selectability and visibility, I've never used it. It allows you to select which objects can be selected and which can be seen in the 3D viewport. Don't know, I've never used it. Gizmos is various gizmos that are shown on the screen, like the navigate is those gizmos there that are flashing on and off. I have move gizmo turned on all the time. That gives me this move gizmo when I have an object selected. I don't use it as a move gizmo very often, but I'll come to that again when we start modeling. The floor you can turn on and off. The axis you can turn on and off. Statistics is worth turning on. That's this overlay flashing over here, this one. That gives you the information about the geometry that you're working on. So that's the viewport overlays. Next, we've got the X-ray toggle. You can also toggle the X-ray with Alt-Z keyboard shortcut. Remember that it's there. Preferably remember the Alt-Z as well, because like you end up with it in X-ray mode and forget how to get rid of it again. Then you have 4 different viewport shading options. The first one is just wireframe, no shading at all, just a wireframe. Next one is the solid shading. This obviously just fills in each face with a solid color and puts a shadow on them to make it 3D. Very fast to update. Most of your work you'll be done in that mode. Next you have the material preview. That shows you a preview of the materials you have applied to your object, including this super duper gold one that I made. And then you have the render preview, which looks exactly the same, because at the moment it is exactly the same. The difference between the material preview and the render preview is the render preview can use the cycles renderer. The material preview uses a faster Eevee render. With a cycles render, you can have like photographic quality previews within your 3D viewport, but at the cost of speed, obviously, because it takes a lot longer to render a photographic quality image than these quick previews of the Eevee. So that's your viewport shading. This little ticky box here is a menu that gives you options for each of those. So for the render preview, got these options. For the material preview, same options. For the shading, the solid view, you've got different options. Again, I'll go into these in more detail in another video. The toolbox here, the toolbar, you can turn that on with T, toggle it with T on and off. This, you can change the size of it. If you drag it out once, it goes to double width. When there's a lot of tools, then that helps you see more tools on the screen. If you drag it out again, it'll show you the names of the tools. So if you don't know what the icons mean, you can drag it out and get the names. I don't actually usually use the toolbox. Very, very, very rare that I use the toolbox. I use keyboard shortcuts for nearly everything now. On the other side, there's also another pop-out that comes up here that you access with the N key. This is called the N panel, N key, N panel. This gives you information about the object that you've got selected here, like where it is, the size of it, etc., etc. It has information and settings for the current tool that you're using and the view that you're using. On top of all that, when you install add-ons, many of the add-ons will put their settings in this N panel down the side here in extra tabs. So the N panel is quite an important one. You'll use it a lot. Remember the keyboard shortcut N panel, N panel. You will use that quite a lot. Right, where do we go next? Over here. This is the outliner. This is basically like a file manager, but for the Blender file. So we've got 3 objects in the Blender file: a camera, a light, and a cube. And the camera, the cube, and the light are in the outliner as well. You can create folders in the outliner. They're called collections. There's there's the scene collection, and then we've got the default collection, where everything is in the default collection. If you're working with a lot of objects, you can sort of put them into different folders, and then you can isolate those folders and work on one folder at a time and clear up any clutter that you've got in the 3D viewport and just work on a subset of your current project. So I can turn this collection on and off, and you see it turns them on and off. They're still there, obviously, but it just turns them on and off. There's other things you can do with the outliner as well. You can rename by double clicking, and various other things. Some of the features are in Blender. You need to select various items in here in specific orders, etc., etc. So that's the outliner. This final window here is the properties panel. lot of information in here, can look very intimidating and scary, but don't worry about it. You'll quickly learn to find your way around it. This has got settings for almost everything in Blender. It starts with the tool, the scene, the render engine, and everything, right down to the materials, for adding and making materials. You'll use this a lot. As I say, don't get intimidated by it. It looks complicated, but you'll quickly get the hang of it. You'll quickly learn to find your way around it. Then finally, at the bottom here, we have the info bar. This gives you further information when you have tools selected, other keys and controls that you can use with that tool. So if I use the G key, which is the grab tool on this cube, you can see the info bar's changed to show all kinds of other options that I have to use with this tool that I've currently got selected. Like I can press X to limit to the X-axis, Y for the Y-axis, Z for the Z-axis, and a whole lot of other things that we'll come to when we start meshing. You also get error messages will pop up here, so if something goes wrong in Blender, it'll tell you by popping an error message up in here, which doesn't stay up very long, only a few seconds, so it's easy to miss. So keep your eye on the info bar when you're selecting tools. There's something you want to do and you're not sure how, just have a look at the info bar. It might give you enough of a hint to find what you're looking for. So that's the UI basically. Next video, I'm going to go into customizing it and a few other bit more in-depth things about the user interface. That's that for now. Hopefully, you found something useful. Maybe. Probably not. That was all fairly basic stuff. But remembering the names of the things, especially the properties panel, the end panel, the outline, makes it easier to describe your problem to people, and it makes it easier for them to understand what you're talking about. If you say in the properties panel, they know exactly what you're talking about. So that's the user interface. See you in the next one. Bye bye now.